Hello and good evening, everyone. Sorry about the long delay here at Truist Point, as there were some issues with the video and cameras down at the ballpark. So we now join you here in the bottom of the first, as Wilver Dong just sent a ball high into the sky for the first out of the bottom of the first. And so we join you in a 5-0 game, and if that sounds a little bit surprising to you at home, it's because the Chili Peppers put up 5 runs in the top of the first after a disastrous start from the Tommies, and starting pitcher Joe Arriola kind of got away from them. The Chili Peppers continue to pick up the hits and the free passes. A couple walks, few timely hits, and a hit by pitch were the main contributors to the large inning from the Chili Peppers. Kepley reached base in the bottom of the first on an error. Kepley now still stands over there on first, and Wilver Dong flew out. So 1 runner on, 1 out, and Jack Spike up for the HiToms is the current situation here on a now beautiful night at Truist Point. Jack Spike swings at that pitch, and fouls it backwards. Let's meet the starting pitcher tonight for the Chili Peppers, and that's number 29, Drew Ramos. Plays his college ball at Randolph-Macon and has had a pretty good season so far. Just 3 appearances, has been used in relief and as a starter, mostly kind of in an opener role as Jack Spike swings and misses on that, and that'll bring the count to 1-2. However, so Drew Ramos, 7 innings pitched so far this season, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, so a little bit of everything, and certainly a pitcher that the HiToms can potentially get some damage on, as Spike fouls that one out, and we'll do 1-2 again on Jack. So the Chili Peppers are 13-11, winners of 2 straight, but they are probably a little bit of a better team than their record indicates. Got off to a really slow start after they were supposed to be one of the best teams in the CPL, as Jack Spike watches a fastball go right down the middle of the plate, and that'll be the second out of the inning. Kepley still standing over there at first base. Surprised we haven't seen a steal out of him, as the catcher, number 22, Dario Astudillo, now for the HiToms in the 4th spot, will be the hitter. Dario comes in with a few days rest. It was Karen who caught for the HiToms on July 4th, just 2 days ago, versus the Sharks. So Dario comes in well rested and in a great spot to provide some offense for the Tommies, and hopefully to provide some good defense from the catching position as well. We mentioned had some struggles over that really bad stretch of games for the HiToms, as there is a pitch tried to be fired down over the first, and just a little bit too late to check on Kepley. So 1-1 now on Dario Astudillo. But the Chili Peppers, first time the HiToms have faced off against them this season. We're actually supposed to play them earlier, as there's a ball sent up the middle by Dario, and a bad throw from the shortstop, William Bean, leads to another reached on error for the HiToms and multiple base runners now. So just trying to do a little bit too much there, maybe rush the throw a little bit, did William Bean, and was unable to get Dario out, who was charging down that first base line. So 2 outs now in the inning. However, 2 runners on, and a big spot for the Tommies' hottest hitter in these recent games, J.D. Suarez. Big spot for him to come through. He'll swing at the first pitch and foul it back out of play. But J.D. Suarez comes into this game 7 of 19, good for a .368 batting average over his last 7 days. 2 RBIs, 3 walks, and 5 stolen bases added on as well in his past 7. So a really strong stretch of games for J.D. He'll put that one high up into the air, drifting, And into the glove of the second baseman, Cole Jenkins, no problem. So a small threat from the HiToms leads to nothing. We'll come back here in the top of the second. Tommies try and prevent the Chili Peppers from scoring more. Welcome back here to Truist Point, here in the top of the second, in a game the HiToms are currently losing 5-0 to the Chili Peppers. Sorry again about the late start to tonight's game. A couple technical difficulties, but we're here and we're firing now. So let's introduce the defensive lineup tonight for the HiToms. In left, playing is Don Pololi. In center, Kane Kepley. And in right, Dylan Lewis. Going from third across the diamond, playing third is Wilver Dong. Short, J.D. Suarez. Second base, Jake Coonan. First base, Jack Spike. Catching tonight is Dario Astudillo, and playing DH is Juan Correa. Joe Arriola still on the mound to begin the second, and that ball is driven out of play. And honestly, it works out just perfect, as we were unable to introduce the starters for the Chili Peppers last inning. However, they wrapped around in the top of the first, and Cole Jenkins, the leadoff hitter, is in for his second appearance tonight. He got hit by a pitch on the second pitch of the game, first time up, and watches that one fly on by, as the count will run to 1-1 now on Cole Jenkins. Arriola throws and spikes it in the dirt, something we saw a lot of in the first inning. Between the final three batters, there were 3 or 4 balls spiked in front of the plate. So that off-speed pitch has been struggled to find the location tonight for Joe. Hopefully a clear base path will help settle him down, as that was a ball driven far but foul from Cole Jenkins. And joining us now, my co-broadcaster tonight, AJ Myers. Welcome in, AJ. How are you doing tonight?
Good, yeah, happy to be on the call with you, Jackson. Unfortunately, not able to get this one on Flow Sports or on TV due to some technical problems, but happy we could still get a broadcast on radio.
Exactly, as there's a strikeout from Joe Arriola, so a good sign and a good start to the second, as that'll bring in now number 23, Brandon Ike.
And my initial, thoughts and expectations for this game were that the HiToms could build off on the big win they had against the Salamanders last time out at Truist Point 2 days ago, but unfortunately not an ideal start for them. But the good news is we're only in the second inning. There's plenty of time for the HiToms to come back.
Exactly, and we saw in that last game here on July 4th at Truist Point, the HiToms had to come back multiple times, gained the lead, then lost it, but were still able to pull out the victory, hoping to do so tonight, as a breaking pitch is fired in, a little bit high this time from Arriola, and will run the count to 1-2 on perhaps not only the best hitter on the Chili Peppers, but one of the better hitters in the CPL so far this season, and Brandon Ike, as he'll swing and miss there. But Brandon Ike is just absolutely setting the CPL on fire so far this season, batting .372, 8 doubles, 7 home runs, 26 RBI. He'll ground that one over to J.D. Suarez. Scoops it up. No problem. Over to Jack Spike. And a quick 2 outs to begin the second for Joe Arriola.
Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to see from Joe Arriola. Maybe after struggling, not getting off to the best start in that first inning, he's getting the outs he needs here.
Exactly. So good job to go ahead and get the first 2 batters out of the inning, and 2 dangerous hitters, that is. Not through the woods yet, as number 5, Michael Dolberry out of Longwood, will step in for his second plate appearance tonight. First pitch is swung on, driven down deep into right field. However, not having to move much is Dylan Lewis, and a quick 1-2-3 second. So good job there from Joe Arriola to battle back. We'll see the HiToms bats come back up when we return in just a moment. Welcome back to Truist Point in beautiful High Point, North Carolina. Wasn't always that way today, as we started today with just a little bit of heavy rain lasting from about 4:30 to 5:15 right before game time. However, mostly clear skies now at game time. It did affect the HiToms batting practice a little bit today. We saw the HiToms BP cut short because of the rain. HiToms players had to be a little bit resilient. We saw a few hitters go up they have a kid zone here at Truist Point where during normal games, kids can go and practice pitching down on the left field side. We saw some of the HiToms hitters warming up their bats there in that cage. So doing a good job making use of what was available, as there is the first pitch of the inning from Drew Ramos, fired in for a ball on Don Pololi.
Yeah, down the left field line, there's like a swing set area, and then the batting cage is right there. And unfortunately, that's where the HiToms had to go.
Yeah, so not ideal for the Tommies to begin this game, having to kind of scrap around to find a way just to get some practice in, and has led to an early hole in deficit for them, as there's a missed pitch there from Drew Ramos. So Don Pololi out of NC State done a really nice job for the Tommies so far this season. Provides a little bit of everything, kind of a similar player in a lot of aspects to Kane Kepley. He's got the speed. Is not going to give you too much from a power perspective. However, he does get hits to drop, and he does get on base. And he does do an excellent job out there in the outfield, playing some really stellar defense. So the 1-2 on Don Pololi is fouled off, and we'll see another pitch come on in.
Just one final note on the rain. Of course, here at Truist Point, it's an AstroTurf field, and that's the big benefit of having turf, is when it was a heavy downpour. When it does rain a lot, you don't have to do any maintenance on the field at all. The fields were already ready to go because it's turf. So that's why we were able to get this game started at 6:30.
Yeah, exactly. At Finch Field, we would have had this game have to have been delayed just a little bit, but the turf has been helpful tonight. First rain we've seen in a little bit after. Seemed like we had a stretch in the beginning of CPL play where pretty much every game had some sort of rain affect it, even in just the slightest way. So a 2-2 now on Dominic Pololi from Ramos is taken and stared at. So the count will run to full now on Dom. As we mentioned, Ramos, just 3 games, 3 appearances so far this season for the Chili Peppers, has been used pretty sparingly as the 3-2 is swung on way outside of the zone, and Don Pololi is sat down on strikes for the first out of the bottom of the second. But, as I mentioned, Drew Ramos has not been used very much this season. 3 total games, but those are spread out across several months. Pitched at the end of May, once on June 5th, and then again on June 27th. So unsure if there were any injuries. However, a good pitcher for the Chili Peppers and one of many on their roster. Into bat now, number 12, Juan Correa. Just announced his commitment to Charlotte, University of Charlotte, next season. So congratulations to Juan Correa. Quickly 0-2 on JC as Ramos has done what the HiToms needed to do so far in this one, and that's work through batters very quickly. He's doing a good job of that as that one was bounced just a little low. Ramos is 2-0 on the season, so even with just 3 starts, able to provide some wins for the Chili Peppers. That pitch is swung on and missed by Correa, and the second out of the inning also comes on strikes. So that'll bring Dylan Lewis out of Reinhardt up to the plate for the Tommies. Been one of the OGs, you could say. Been there since the beginning, even those exhibition games against the Corn Dogs, against the Stars. One of the first guys we met here in High Point after coming to Thomasville, as he'll swing and miss at the first pitch, and an 0-1 count on Dylan. And he'll swing at that one. So jumping all over these first 2 pitches from Ramos. Got a piece of that one. Trying to just put something in play and get it started for the Tommies. Sometimes it seems they just need a small spark. 1 or 2 hits can usually start a rally. However, 2 outs in this inning. That ball is skied way up and way out of play, and the count will remain 0-2 on Lewis.
Of course, tonight is a cross-division matchup between the East and West in the CPL. And the first half of the season for the Chili Peppers, they were just 1 game over 500 at 12-11. But as we've kind of made the assumption this year, that East Division is very strong, and that 4th place finish in the first half is something I'm sure many Chili Pepper fans and the organization's proud of, based on how strong that side of the division is.
Exactly. It seems in the CPL, the East Division, kind of a similar equivalent to the AL East in the MLB, where you can have a pretty good record, shout out the Red Sox, and still be last in the division. Shout out one of our favorite interns, Adam Oppenheim, big Red Sox fan. Must be tough to be in last place after Adam chimes in there. So a 1-2 count is missed outside on Dylan Lewis, and we will see 2-2 now. But the HiToms have a lot of work to do over the rest of the season if they want to make a playoff push that so many thought that they would be able to do coming into the season. Their record sits at 9-15 coming into tonight's matchup. A win last time, as that pitch is fouled off by Dylan Lewis as he continues to stay alive in battle against Ramos. But HiToms have some work to do. As I mentioned, 22 games left remaining in the season for the Tommies, including this one, and every one of them is an important one, as it'll take a bit of a streak to get them in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I think the way they've started this second half at 2-1 right now is something they should be proud of. I think the bats have looked really strong. Pitching has still been, shaky at times, but I think we've seen a lot of improvement. And also, hopefully for the HiToms, you'll see more of a stable roster, not so many guys coming in and out.
Exactly, as that pitch is sent high into the air, and again, no problem with it, is the second baseman, Cole Jenkins. So another quick inning for Ramos as he sits down the HiToms in order. We'll come back here to Truist Point in just a moment. It'll be the top of the third. Welcome back here to Truist Point as we are all set to begin the top of the third. Unfortunately, new pitcher on the mound as Joe Arriola's day, not exactly how it was maybe planned to go looking ahead of this game. So an early exit from Joe will bring in Will Sword, and the first pitch from Will Sword is driven deep into left field by Eli Wisner and will be a lead-off double against Will Sword. So Eli wastes no time. First pitch from Will Sword thrown in the game, driven deep out into left field. And the Chili Peppers will start off the top of the third with another base runner to begin the inning.
Yeah, that ball landed in a difficult spot for Don Pololi out in left field, right in the corner where the foul line is. He kind of had to pick it out of the wall, and it was an easy double for Wisner.
Exactly. So big welcome to the game moment for Will Sword. Has been really good as of late for the HiToms, and someone that they've been able to count on as of recent. Started off the year in his total numbers, 14 innings, 8 appearances, and an ERA north of 7. However, in the past 7 days has pitched 3 separate times, has not allowed a run in 3 innings and just 1 hit. So has gotten it much back on track, has Will Sword, as that one misses inside and backs off the number 5 hitter, Avery Neves. Avery came through with an RBI walk his last time up with the bases loaded. Will Sword trying to give the HiToms a chance and not allow any more runs to cross, as that pitch is fired and missed on outside or inside as well. And the count will now move to 3-0 on the number 5 hitter for the Chili Peppers. Will Sword takes a look back over at Eli on second base, fires in the pitch, and that'll miss outside again. So 4 straight pitches and 4 straight balls for Will Sword, and not the best start for the HiToms here in the top of the third, as it's gone double and 4-pitch walk.
And now the HiToms pitching coach coming out to have a quick chat with Will Sword, who hasn't, as you alluded to, hasn't got off to the best start. And really for this Chili Peppers team, not watching them much at all this year, as that's the HiToms' first time playing them. But if you get them on base, they're going to score. They don't waste opportunities when they got runners in scoring position.
Absolutely. One of the better offenses in the league, and one of the better offenses in terms of scoring lots of runs. They lead the league in home runs with 26. Tommy's in third place with 21 team home runs. So a team that can absolutely drive the ball to all parts of the yard and out here in a hurry. Have not done so for tonight and haven't needed to. The small ball has led to all of the scoring so far for the Chili Peppers. And in now will be number 28, Cole Garrett, for his second appearance. He hit that RBI double just out of the reach of the outstretched glove from Will Verdung back in the first. That scored 2 runs and got the Chili Peppers up 5-0. And he'll shoot that one way deep into center field. Kepley under it, no problem. On the play, however, Avery Neves will advance down to third base.
Yeah, that was a hard hit ball from Garrett out into right field that Kepley was able to scamper over and grab. But all the games at Truist Point we've had, we've only seen 3 home runs, and none of them off of HiToms bats. So in our final game in the City Connect series, maybe we could get a HiToms home run here.
Exactly. You'd absolutely love to see a HiToms home run. Mentioned it last broadcast on July 4th. No Tommy's home runs. However, they do, in the past 4 games here played this season at Truist, have hit really well in this ballpark. Looking to get it going. Certainly much deeper dimensions than Finch Field, especially the power alleys. Left and right field power alleys at Truist listed at 366 apiece, almost 30 feet farther back than at Finch Field power alleys. Center field also 400 feet at Truist and just 390 at Finch. So big dimensions lead to more doubles and hits. However, much harder to get the ball out of the yard here. A 2-0 count on Cameron Miller. Will Sword puts that one right over the heart of the plate to bring it back to 2-1. So some more base runners alive on the diamond right now for the Chili Peppers, and some work to be done here. 1 out in the inning. Will Sword stares down Cameron. Pitch is fired in, and a missed pickoff attempt over at the sliding Cole Garrett. And he will be safe in there, no problem. So runners at second and third now with just 1 out in the inning. And the big thing, that stolen base takes away the double play at first and second now. So 2-1 pitch incoming is a little bit high, and 3-1. So a lot of the struggles we saw Joe Areola have in terms of locating the breaking pitch, that off speed, have started to show their face for Will Sword as well. Just not able to get the breaking pitch where he's been trying to put it so far tonight. That pitch is put on in the dirt. However, it was spiked before home plate, so a foul ball will push the count to full on Cameron Miller. He walked his first time up and later came around to score on a wild pitch. Big 3-2 here. Cam Miller, leader on the Chili Peppers in strikeouts. Let's see if Will Sword can get one here. He'll slash that one in there below the zone, and chasing it is Cameron Miller down for the strikeout. So his 24th now on the season, as a good job there from Sword to just put something that he was unable to catch up to and get the second out of the inning. So in now will step Alex Christie, the number 8 hitter for the Chili Peppers.
Good recovery by Will Sword after allowing those 2 base hits to start off his outing. He's recovered really nicely.
Exactly. Huge batter here to get out in Alex Christie, as he'll swing and miss. A big one at that on the first pitch. So good job to start off Alex with a swinging strike and miss. Still 2 runners out there, second and third. Plenty of danger still out there for the HiToms. That pitch just a little bit outside, and we'll bring the count to 1-1 now.
And as we mentioned earlier, this is the last game at Truist Point for the HiToms. And outside of the exhibition game they had against Chinese Taipei, they're 2-1 here. So they've liked the friendly confines of the High Point Rocker Stadium.
Exactly, they do. And that pitch is in there for a strike. So 1-2. They love playing in here, but hopefully we'll get to see that come to fruition and get those HiToms bats hot and firing. Now, though, Will Sword looks to try and get the third out of the inning. And that is put in there, and able to hold back just barely is Alex Christie. He reached on a fielder's choice his first time up back in the first inning, and later came around to score as well. So big situation here. Sword trying to keep the deficit to just 5, as if he can get the final out of the inning here, would be huge for the HiToms. He'll fire that one in there, and it's in there, called strike 3. So after not the best start, he strikes out back-to-back batters, and Will Sword will walk off the mound after a scoreless third. We'll come back in the bottom of the third, and the Tommies will get those bats running. Welcome back here. We are getting ready now to start the bottom of the third and hopefully see if the Tommies can come through and put some runs on the board for the first time tonight. They are trailing in this one so far 5-0 after 5 runs were put up in the first from the Chili Peppers against starter Joe Arriola. Arriola came back out in the second, was able to go 1-2-3, but has since been replaced by Will Sword. Sword had some trouble in the beginning of the top of the third, was able to work out of it and put up a 0 spot. So that's how we've gotten to this point. In to bat now is Jake Coonan for the Tommies, the 9-hole hitter. After this, we'll wrap around back to Kepley and Verdung. Coonan started out the year, if you'll remember, one of the best hitters on the Tommies, came out absolutely screaming, as he'll send that one into right field, but out of play. Started out the year absolutely on fire. Still actually leads the team with 15 RBIs even at this point. However, not as much playing time recently, but a good spot and a good chance tonight to come through with a couple of hits and work his way back into the lineup, Jake Coonan. The 1-2 on Coonan is looked at and missed low, and the count will run to 2-2. Ramos has done a really good job so far tonight. That is the starting pitcher for the Chili Peppers. Gotten through the first 2 innings very quickly. And Coonan will send that one down over to the third baseman, Brandon Ike, and he'll make the play no problem. So just like that, we've gone through 9 hitters so far and still yet to see a hit for the HiToms through the first round of the order. So in now for his second appearance of the night is Kane Kepley. He reached on an error just before we started our broadcast back in the first inning. Kane Kepley watches that one go by, as he so often does. most of the HiToms not the type of team and type of players to swing at very many first pitches. Most times they're usually very patient up there at the dish, has led to the Tommies being top 4 in the CPL in walks drawn so far this season. Tommies also second in OBP in the league to just Forest City. And if you're up there with Forest City in the CPL, certainly not something to be ashamed of. Forest City has been absolutely insane on offense so far this season. That pitch is in there for the first strike of the at-bat on Kepley. So 3-1 now. Hitters count on the leadoff. Three one missed. And Kepley will go stand over there on first for the second time tonight, this time via the walk.
Ken Kepley's just been a real threat at the top of the order for the HiToms. For reasons like that, he can get on base, and that's exactly what you want from your leadoff man.
Exactly. He does such a good job for the Tommies since coming in several weeks ago, filling in as that leadoff hitter. Just does a little bit of everything. In just the past week, 5 RBI, 6 walks, now his 7th, 4 stolen bases. Can really do it all there from the top of the order. So in now will step number 2, Will Verdong. He flew out in his first at-bat, and he'll watch strike 1 taken across the heart of the plate here to start him out. Verdong obviously has still been amazing so far this season, as there's a little check on over down to Kepley at first. Verdong over his past 7 days still batting .350, 2 doubles, a home run, 4 RBIs. Also has tacked on 4 walks and 3 stolen bases. So Kepley and Verdong proving why they're hitting 1-2. And Kepley will move on to second as Verdong sent a ball into left field for his first hit of the night. And with that hit, we can now say his on-base streak has been extended to 24 straight games. 24 games the HiToms have played this season, and Verdong has reached base in every single one of them. So the best hitter on the Tommies so far this season continues to put up some great hitting and in a timely spot now, as with just 1 out in the inning, the Tommies are threatening with a runner on second in Kane Kepley and a runner on first in Will Verdong. First pitch is fired high and outside on Jack Spike. In a battle of the 29s, number 29 Ramos, number 29 Spike. And after that high pitch and not the best start to the inning for Ramos, we'll see a short conversation between Drew Ramos and Cole Garrett, the catcher, to discuss how to get him back on track. He'll give him a little bit of love and jog back on over. So 1-0 count on Jack Spike. Big spot here for Jack to come through and get the Tommies on the board. It's still just the 3rd inning, plenty of time left, but you would love to see Tommies start eating away at this deficit here in the 3rd. So the 1-0 taken by Jack Spike for a strike, and the count will move to 1-1.
Yeah, the HiToms will really see this as a prime opportunity. You got 2 on, top of your order. This is an opportunity against a good Chili's Peppers side. You may not see too much more in the game, and you want to cut into that 5-run lead the Chili Peppers have.
Exactly. Spike trying to do just that right now. Will send a ball down over to Cole Jenkins, and he'll make the easy tailor-made double play. So an unfortunate situation there as the Tommies put 2 on and quickly retire them with the double play. We'll come back to Truist Point in just a moment. It'll be the top of the 4th when we return. Welcome back here to Truist Point, High Point, North Carolina. Tommy's trailing this one 5-0 as we're ready to start the top of the fourth now. Sword getting ready to begin his second inning of work. After a little bit of a shaky start in the third, able to work out of it no problem, and will begin his second inning now. Spikes that one into the dirt, and we'll begin William Bean with a 1-0 count. Bean plays his college ball at VCU. Struck out his first time up to plate. 1-0 pitch from Sword. Fired in a little bit high. Misses. 2-0 now. Bean, like Cam Miller, just 2 hits in his last 7 games. One of the few hitters in this Chili Peppers lineup that you kind of circle as, we need to get this guy out. This guy should be the player we're not letting us beat us.
If you're Will Sword, you want to build off of how you ended that third inning, getting 2 strikeouts.
Yep. Ended it really strong. As we mentioned, allowed some base runners early on, but finished really strong and has looked much better than his first 2 batters, to say the least, so far here against William Bean. Chili Peppers in the all-red uniforms. Don't see it often, as that is skied into no man's land out there. Tough play made by Coonan as he'll stick that glove out and pick the ball out of the air for the first out of the inning. So a good play by Coonan, as that ball was just kind of drifting lazily. It could have been foul, could have just dropped in fair. Kind of hard to tell. However, not needed as Coonan was able to make the play. So the Chili Peppers will wrap around to their leadoff hitter for the 3rd time tonight in Cole Jenkins. Hit by a pitch his first appearance. He struck out last time. And he'll take the first pitch in there, a little bit low from Sword. Sword also puts the second pitch in there, just a little bit high. So 2-0 now. The count will move to on Cole Jenkins. And that one also misses. Common miss point tonight has seemingly been either inside or outside. Haven't had as much issues between high and low, but we've seen a lot of balls miss on the outside part of the plate and then brush hitters back on the inside, as that one was low and will walk the leadoff hitter down on to first base. So in now will step number 23, Brandon Ike, and while he hasn't done much damage so far here tonight, obviously always dangerous to do so. Mentioned 7 home runs, 8 doubles on the year, leads CPL in extra base hits so far this season. So runner on first now, as check back from Will Sword over to first. Will keep Cole Jenkins there in check at first base.
And for Ike at VCU in his sophomore year, he started and played in all 55 games, batted .346.
Wow.
As another throw back over to first gets away.
And that's way in the outfield. And with all the room out there in the outfield, that'll be no problem for Cole Jenkins to easily move up to second. So 1 out still in the inning, but now a runner in scoring position for the dangerous Brandon Ike.
Yeah, rare miscue there by Dario Astadio. He was trying to throw over to Jack Spike at first, and the throw just got away from him. And Jenkins is able to move over to second.
Has been rare so far, but an issue the HiToms have continued to work on throughout the season is the defensive play out of the catching position. So, runner on second and Cole Jenkins, and a 1-0 count on Ike. He'll swing and miss over the top of that one for a big first strike on Brandon.
And for Ike, he transferred from North Carolina to VCU for his sophomore year, and that sophomore year he was named All-First Team Atlantic 10, so definitely the right decision to move over, and he was excellent.
Clearly a guy that can get it done at all levels, as there's a free stolen base there, essentially from Cole Jenkins. not even going to try the throw from Dario as he got an excellent jump and will now stand over there on third. So a sixth run just 90 feet away for Tri-City. Will Sword looking to prevent him from crossing as that just misses, just a little bit high was the off speed on Ike. Ike grounded into a fielder's choice his first plate appearance and grounded out last time. Sword sends that into Brandon, and the catch is made out there by Don Paloli. However, the run will score on the sac fly as that ball was drilled deep enough for the runner to come in from third. So 6-0 deficit now for the HiToms. And that'll bring up Michael Dolberry for his third at-bat tonight. Singled in the first and flew out last time. Another one of the uber dangerous hitters on this Chili Peppers roster. You could say he is potentially number 2 of the 1-2 punch between him and Ike. Dolberry himself has 6 home runs this season, 27 RBIs. So a huge gap in the numbers between the top 2 hitters and everyone else on the Chili Peppers. Ike with 26 RBIs, Dolberry with 27, third place all the way down the rung at 14. So these are the 2 guys you circle as you look at the Chili Peppers lineups, Dolberry and Ike. He'll watch the first 2 pitches fly on in by. So a 2-0 pitch coming into Michael also misses. This time just a little bit outside. And we'll run the count to 3-0. Something we've certainly seen a lot of tonight and has played a huge role in the issues early in this one is not being able to get ahead of the hitters. The hitters have had the advantage in pretty much all of the at-bats and has led to a lot of the success we've seen here from Tri-City early in this one. That ball's fouled off for the first strike of the at-bat, and we'll see a 3-1 now from Will. Dolberry also, if he's able to get on base, leads the team in stolen bases with 8. That ball is also sent skied into the right field and out of play. And that'll bring the count to full now. So we'll see a 3-2 pitch on Michael Dolberry with 2 outs in the inning. No one on base now as the one runner that was able to score on the sac fly. 3-2 pitch incoming from Will Sword is sent down to Jack Spike at first. He'll make the play, run on over to first. No problemo. So Tommy's 4th chance to get some runs going here coming up when we return in just a moment to Truist Point. We are almost ready to begin the bottom of the 4th here at Truist Point on a night that has gotten away from the Tommies so far. A 6-0 deficit as we head into the bottom of the fourth here. Leading off to start the fourth will be Dario Astudillo. He reached on an error his first time around. And he'll take the first pitch in there a little bit inside for a ball. So the Tommies got their first hit last inning from Will Verdung. Are still looking to just piece those hits together and get the scoring started, as there's a strike in there from Ramos. But there's the problem. Drew Ramos has been really, really good tonight in terms of limiting base runners and in terms of just getting the Tommies out. As there's a strike pounded in there for a 1-2 on Dario. AJ, you mentioned to me that he has a real interesting release, and as you watch him, like you said, he really uses that elbow and kind of puts that lead arm way out in the air. What do you think of his stance and how it's affected the HiToms tonight?
Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought it was maybe like uncomfortable or he was, hurt or something, but obviously as the pitches have gone on, it's been the same release each time, and it's been effective because HiToms have been swinging on a lot of his deliveries and haven't made too much contact. They only have 3 hits in this game thus far.
Yeah, as there's another pitch missed just a little bit outside, but it does seem that they are just a little bit swing happy. The Chili Peppers don't strike out a lot of batters as a pitching staff, actually bottom 3 in the league with just 105 total strikeouts as a pitching staff so far this season. But they still get outs and have one of the better ERAs in all of CPL play. In fact, they have just one player with 20 strikeouts, as there's a foul ball chopped down the left side from Dario Astudillo. But just one pitcher on their staff with 20 strikeouts. Zach Abbey leads with 20 exactly. Second place has just 12 strikeouts. The Tommies, 8 players with at least 13 or more strikeouts on their roster, including 4 with at least 20. So certainly a difference in philosophies among the pitching staffs of these two teams. Dario chops that one down, and no problem is Cole Jenkins. He's been busy tonight. A lot of choppers as the Tommies are just appearing to hit a little bit over the ball to start this game. So a quick first out to begin the fourth, and that'll bring up J.D. Suarez.
And against the Sharks, J.D. was 4 for 3, had 3 hits on the night. And against the Sharks, every time he was stepped in that batter's box, it's almost like this guy's reaching base regardless.
Exactly. Had an excellent game against the Sharks just 2 days ago, and has also, as we mentioned, been piping red hot recently over his last 7, as he'll take that in there for the first strike at the at-bat. But Suarez has done an excellent job over his past few games, providing some big hits and some big power hits for the Tommies, especially when they've needed them. He'll send that one down into foul territory, not very deep, and not a difficult play for the first baseman, Eli Wisner, to make, and that'll be 2 quick outs to begin the fourth.
Unfortunately, that's been the story of the game for the HiToms thus far, these quick innings. They went 5 batters in the first, and they got 4 in the second. They went 4 in the third as well. So they really can't eat too much into this lineup thus far, and that's been the problem. They just haven't had the opportunity to get on base and knock some runs home.
Exactly. It feels like we've really not been able to talk too much about the Tommies, as they haven't spent much time up at bat. It's been the Chili Peppers producing those long innings, and the Tommies' innings are just flying by. Dom Pololi will try and get on base here. Struck out his first time, and we'll take that for the second ball of the at-bat. But just unable to kind of get the gears turning so far are the Tommies on offense. Have been able to get a few batters on base, as there's a check swing, unable to hold up, that is. So 2-2 now on Dom. But honestly, just unable to really get too much going. However, as we've seen in the past, once it seems like 1 or 2 runs start to cross the plate, the Tommies are usually able to tack on a few more in a bunch and in a hurry. So just looking to see who's going to be the first hitter to provide that first spark for this offense. Paloli will foul that one down the left field side. Tom with that wide batting stance. Waggles the bat around a little bit. Will swing on and send this one out of the outstretched arm of Cole Jenkins. And finally, nice to see one go over Cole Jenkins' head instead of into his glove. And a nice single there from Dom.
That's how the HiToms like to operate thus far this season, is with 2 outs. That's when they get guys on base and they're able to score runs. And with Juan Correa up to bat, they could really use some runs now.
Exactly. And what it seemed like in the beginning of the season is they weren't scoring those runs with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, but have since done an excellent job. That's been one of the things they've done a better job of. That pitch is sent very high into the air, however, not very deep. And after a single provided a little bit of hope from Dom Paloli, a quick fly out will end the 4th. We'll come back to Truist Point where it'll be the top of the 5th. Tommy's still scoreless in this one.
And welcome you back to Truist Point. HiToms taking on the Tri-City Chili Peppers. They're currently losing 6-0 as we just starting this top of the 5th inning. It's Eli Wisner up to bat. He's at an even 1-1 count right now. New pitcher in for the HiToms. He deals on the outside, so the count shifts to 2-1.
Still currently searching for the starting pitcher for the HiToms, as we had a couple new guys come in today and yesterday, and a couple number changes have led to trying to figure out just who is on the mound now for the Tommies.
Well, regardless, Eli Wisner's in a 3-1 count right now. Tri-City has a 6-run lead as it's Story Kamara on the bump. He just arrived a few days ago for the HiToms as Wisner puts one out into right field, and he'll have a base hit for Tri-City.
So this is Story's first appearance of the year, and he started it off allowing a hit, but apologies for how long it took to find out the pitcher. As we've mentioned several times throughout the season, been a sort of a revolving door, players coming in and out all the time in the CPL, but interested to see how Story will hold up tonight.
Yeah, Kamara, the third Ivy League guy on this roster out of Cornell. He delivers now to Avery Neves.
Well, one thing you certainly can say is that the HiToms don't have a dumb team. A lot of Ivy Leaguers, as we've mentioned.
Kamara's delivery to Neves is chopped over to Wilverdung at third. He tosses to second for the out. The throw over to first will not be in time, but they do get the runner out at second. So now they have one out here in the top of the fifth inning.
And there's another one of those plays. We talked about it in between innings. Kind of those double play balls the HiToms have not been able to turn. That's probably the second or third one this game where it looked like the HiToms were able to turn two and were unable to do so. It looked kind of to me as the ball was just not moving that fast.
Kamara sets, deals to Astudillo. It's a check swing from the new batter, Cole Garnett, for Tri-City. Garnett flew out to left field back in the third inning, and he did have a RBI double over in the first. That is where Tri-City did most of their damage. They jumped out of a 5-0 lead there as Kamara's next delivery is low for a ball. Puts the count at 1-1 with one out. In that spring year at Cornell, Kamara had an ERA of about 11, made 4 appearances. So judge the ERA how you'd like there with only 4 appearances. Sits in a 1-1 count here, delivers to Garnett. He puts one foul towards right field.
And with the base runner on first being Eli Wisner, not having to worry too much about stolen base here. Eli not lighting it up on the base paths, clearly. No stolen bases so far this season.
Kamara now in a 1-2 count. Nods to Astudillo, kicks his leg, delivers. That one again shoots low. Astudillo takes a quick look over at first. No movement from Neves at first base for the Chili Peppers.
And I apologize, as that's actually Avery Neves on first base. However, works out just about the same. Neves with just 1 stolen base, so not much of a threat either there to steal.
So Neves at first for Tri-City. Delivery from Garnett. He flies one over into right field. Dylan Lewis is looking onto it. He's able to make the grab. He turns and throws over. So a fly out there for Cole Garnett brings it to 2 outs here in the 5th inning in a 6-0 Chili Pepper lead.
And that ball was hit hard. That was one of the examples of balls we've seen at Truist Point that are outs here. However, that ball would have gotten out of the right field in Finch Field in a hurry.
So 2 away for the Chili Peppers. It's Cameron Miller now up to bat. He struck out back in the 3rd. Story Kamara out of Dallas, Texas. Just wrapped up his junior year for the Big Red in Cornell. He delivers as it's a show bunt there by Miller. Was just on the outside for a ball, so a 1-0 count with 2 outs for Miller. Tossed in by Kamara. It's golfed out into center field. Kane Kepley's running on for it. He says he has it, and he does for the 3rd out. So the Chili Peppers are able to get 2 hits in that inning, but no runs scored. It's still a 6-0 game. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network.
And we welcome you back to Truist Point. Now in the bottom of the fifth inning between the HiToms and Chili Peppers. Chili Peppers currently have a 6-0 lead over the Tommies. It's Dylan Lewis to start off this bottom portion of the fifth, and still Drew Ramos dealing for Tri-City. First one to Lewis was on the outside, so he's in a 1-0 count with no outs, just starting the bottom of the fifth in a 6-0 game. Next delivery from Ramos is hit up in the air. Cole Garnett is looking up onto it, and it is going to drift out of play, hitting that Chili Peppers top of their dugout. So it's a 1-1 count now for Dylan Lewis, who in his only at-bat popped out over to second base.
Lewis, one of the guys at the bottom of the order, we've been saying this for a couple games now, is really due to kind of put up a big game and try and work his way back into the role we saw him have in the beginning.
Golfs one out over to center field. It bounces right in front of Dolbeloy, and it's a base hit for Dylan Lewis. So right on cue, Jackson. He's got a hit.
Good job by Dylan. Just not trying to do too much. What's been kind of the issue we've seen for Dylan when he has struggled this season is trying to do just a little too much, and trying to put that big power swing has led to a couple of some strikeout issues, but a good job there. Just take what he was given and just put it back out into play.
So it's the bottom man in the order for the HiToms and Jake Coonan. He's got Dylan Lewis on first with no outs here in the bottom of the fifth. Delivery from Ramos. Coonan shows bunt. It goes high for a ball as Lewis remains over at first base.
And it could just be a tactic, but I'm surprised Coonan even showed bunt there. HiToms going to have to do a little bit more work on the base pass and with the bats to get back in this game, and bunt not going to do too much.
Next one from Ramos is way high. Garrett did a good job of getting a glove on that, the catcher for the Chili Peppers. Next one from Ramos is put down the middle, called for a strike. So it's a 2-1 count with no outs for Jake Coonan. And Dylan Lewis over at first base for the HiToms.
Lewis does have 2 stolen bases on the year, so potentially could be moving, but not as likely of a chance as some of the other batters.
A light lead from Lewis right now. Kick from Ramos, and it's fouled off by Jake Coonan. So it brings the count to 2-2 now with no outs here in the bottom of the fifth. HiToms trail 6-0 over the Chili Peppers. In the final game of the City Connect series here at Truist Point, HiToms have a 2-1 record when at the Rockers facility. Ramos throws back over to first. Lewis is comfortably safe. It's Eli Weiser watching Dylan Lewis at first base, as Ramos now gets set to prepare a 2-2 delivery. Again, opts to throw back over to first, keeping a close eye on Dylan Lewis, who slides in safe yet again.
Trying to keep a close eye on any HiToms batter that has reached base so far. HiToms top 5 in the league in stolen bases. Starting to take notice as some of the other pitching staff.
The 2-2 is hit on by Jake Coonan out into left field. It's going to be fair, taking a bounce right off the wall. Dylan Lewis is at third as Coonan will have himself a double, and there's 2 men in scoring position for the top of the HiToms order in Kane Kepley.
And interesting, we saw there, just like we saw in that July 4th game, there was a ball from Rowan Watt hit deep into the outfield, and actually it looked like it bounced off of the batter's eye, came back into play, and the run was the runner scored from first, but should have been placed on third. In another situation there, the outfielder didn't put his hands up, but this time the runner doesn't score. No challenge from Tri-City.
So it's Kane Kepley, who's had an effective evening thus far. He's got a base hit and was walked back in the third. He's got 2 on to work with here. Ramos puts one on the outside for a ball. So it's a 1-0 start for Kane Kepley with no outs and 2 on for the HiToms.
And
they trail. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Tommies have just got to come through here. I mean, we've said it a couple times earlier tonight with base runners on, but 2 on, no out, second and third. Got to come through here.
Delivery from Ramos is fouled off by Kane Kepley.
Right person, right spot for Kane. Reached on error and a walk so far tonight. Perfect opportunity for his first hit. Would most likely drive in too.
Wilver Dung and Jack Spike await Kepley. One from Ramos. Throw back over to third is in time as Dylan Lewis was taking a lead at third. Good awareness there by the Chili Peppers catcher to launch one over to third, and Brandon Ike was able to collect it as Dylan Lewis is, though, safe at third base.
That was close. They're paying real attention to Lewis over there.
It's Dylan Lewis at third. Jake Coonan over at second. Kane Kepley batting in now a 2-1 count. Payoff one from Ramos is on the outside. He wasn't pleased with that pitch as Coonan goes ahead 3-1.
Tommies have worked themselves into a great spot here. Hitters count 2 on.
Hitters count here for Kane Kepley. The pitch from Ramos is again on the outside, so the bases are going to be loaded for HPT with Wilver Dung coming up to bat.
And a hitter's count does not change the mindset of Kane Kepley. He, as we've seen many times this season, is perfectly okay with taking his walks. When he hit that walk-off run rule home run a week ago, when we saw in that 12-2 win over the Bigfoots, he walked 3 times in that game. Before his final plate appearance, he put one over the wall that sent the HiToms home.
Mound visit right now for the Chili Peppers as Drew Ramos sits at 77 pitches. He's allowed 4 hits on the day, no runs. But he's in a jam here with the bases loaded and the HiToms' best opportunity through 5 innings in this one.
And clearly, as the HiToms have started to see more and more of Ramos, they've gotten much more comfortable with him than they were in the beginning of the game. And this is just about as perfect of a spot that you can ask for the HiToms. Bases loaded, no outs, your best hitter at the dish. Exciting at bat incoming here.
Verdung taps the base with his bat, gets set for his first pitch from Ramos here in the bottom of the 5th. HiToms have the bases loaded. Delivery from Ramos is down the middle, called for a strike. So it's a 1-0 count for Will Verdung. He got a base hit back in the 3rd inning.
And we're not going to see Verdung chase much, especially in a big spot like this. So it's going to take pitches in the strike zone from Ramos to get Verdung out.
Verdung on the year has 14 RBIs, 6 extra base hits. As he looks at one, again called for a strike, so he's behind here, 0-2 with no outs, and the bases loaded for the HiToms.
It's going to take strikes to get him out, and Ramos has done that so far.
Dylan Lewis is over at third, Jake Coonan's at second, Kane Kepley occupies first. Ramos looks at his catcher. Delivers the pitch, and it's a swing and a miss by Wilver Dung, so he goes down on strikes, and it's the first out for the HiToms here in the bottom of the 5th.
That was an absolutely amazing at-bat from the pitcher Ramos. To make Wilver Dung looks that silly. We haven't seen it often this season, so an amazing 3-pitch strikeout there from Ramos.
So it brings up Jack Spike with 1 out, bases still loaded for HPT.
He hit into a double play last time, struck out his first time.
Delivery from Ramos, shoots low for a ball. Runners remain at their bases. HiToms trail 6-0, but they have a big opportunity here with the bases loaded. Pitch fired in from Ramos, hits the turf. So it's a 2-0 count for Jack Spike.
That was a great pick made by Cole Garrett, the catcher, as that ball bounced way in front of him and was really close to getting past to allow a run to score via the wild pitch.
Ramos gets the sign from Garrett. He gets set to put in the 2-0 pitch. It's hit on by Jack Spike out into center field. As the left fielder Miller's running over to it, he's able to make the grab. Dylan Lewis tags the bag. He's going to be able to score, and the HiToms do have 1 run on the board. So it's a fly out for Jack Spike, but it allows Dylan Lewis to score. So now 2 away with Dario Astudillo coming up to bat.
And Jack put quite a charge into that one. Hit, and even though it was just a sac fly, pretty far hit ball. That was to the deepest part of the yard. That was swung on just a little bit earlier. Had probably a good chance of getting out over the left field wall. Just 336 down the line.
And it looks as though we are going to have a pitching change for the Chili Peppers That does it for Drew Ramos. He had a pretty successful outing through 4 innings. Did get in a bit of a jam here, loading the bases, but only allowed 1 run. We'll have a new pitcher for the Chili Peppers when we come back. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Back here at Truist Point, the HiToms threatening as the Chili Peppers were forced to make a pitching change. It's Jack Goleski now dealing for Tri-City, and he goes up against Josh Karen as the HiToms made their own substitution. Delivery from Goleski's goes low for a ball. Karen subs in for Dario Astudillo, and assuming that will be a straight swap right at the catcher spot as well. As Goleski has yet to allow a run in 8 innings pitched thus far, so he's been really dominant thus far for the Chili Peppers. As he's behind here, 1-0 to Karen as he throws back over to first. Kane Kepley's running, and he's going to be caught in a jam. The throw back over to first, and Kane Kepley's got nothing to do but be tagged out. So that ends the bottom of the 5th for the HiToms. They do get 1 back, but they do leave 2 on. We'll head to the 6th. It's the Tri-City Chili Peppers 6, HBT HiToms 2. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. And we welcome you back to Truist Point in the final game of the City Connect series. It's capped off between the HiToms and Tri-City Chili Peppers as Story Kamara remains on the bump for the HiToms. He delivers to Alex Christie, goes on the outside for ball 1. Kamara's going into his 2nd inning of work. The 2 previous HiToms pitchers also went 2 innings as the next one from Kamara is shot low for a ball. So Christie's ahead 2-0. Joe Ariola went 2 innings and he allowed 5 runs, and then Will Sword went the next 2. allowing just 1 run as Kamara, as I just alluded to, going into his 2nd inning of work, did pretty well back in the 5th as we're now in the top of the 6th. Chili Peppers have a 6-2 advantage over the HiToms as Alex Christie's now ahead 3-0 in the count.
And AJ, we saw the HiToms get 2 back. That deficit was 6-0 not too long ago, so a good job to get 2 runs back. However, they did leave some runners out there.
Next one from Kamara goes high, so it's 4 balls right in a row to put Alex Christie over at first base for the Chili Peppers.
And important now to put another 0 on the board here in the top of the 6th as the Tommies just began to seem like they're trying to get the bats finally moving and cut into this deficit even more next inning. Hopefully they can still be at 4 when they get the bats back up.
It's William Bean in the bottom of the order for the Chili Peppers. He swings and misses at his first look from Kamara. Bean on the year batting .254, has 13 RBIs and 4 extra base hits, along with 2 home runs, so he can be a threat the bottom side of the lineup card for the Chili Peppers. That one is into the turf, and maybe it clipped him as Bean is walking over to first base. So now there's 2 on for the Chili Peppers in the top of the order with Cole Jenkins.
I guess he was clipped just a little bit, maybe off the shoe or the leg. He wasted no time waiting for any sort of umpire call and went right down onto first. So clearly hit somewhere, and another dangerous situation now to begin the top of the 6th here with 2 on.
It's Cole Jenkins at bat now for Tri-City. Alex Christie over at second and William Bean at first. Kamara takes a look at Christie at second. Now looks back over to his catcher. Delivers. It's fouled off by Cole Jenkins. And also, as we expected, it is now Josh Caron catching for the HiToms. He's subbing in for Dario Astudillo.
Caron has done an excellent job, has been the best defensive catcher for the HiToms this season, but as an added bonus has begun to start providing hits as well on the offensive side.
The 0-1 from Kamara is just high for ball 1, so it's a 1-1 count with no outs. 2 on for the Chili Peppers, who are rocking the red tops and red pants against the HiToms in the all-white tops and white bottoms with blue socks. Kamara looks back over at second. Takes a look at his catcher. Now delivers the pitch. It's hit on by Jenkins, but going foul, and no catch could be made by Jack Spike. So it puts Jenkins in a 1-2 count with no outs here in the final game of the City Connect series at Truist Point. HiToms trail 6-2. Dylan Lewis and Jake Coonan were able to cross home plate back in the bottom of the 5th for HBT. Kamara takes a while preparing the 1-2 for Christie. Looks back over at second and now calls time.
And we've mentioned a couple times tonight the stolen base numbers for the Chili Peppers on base as a team. Last in the league in terms of stolen bases, so not a team that likes to swipe bags as much as some of the other ones, especially the HiToms.
From the belt, the 1-2 is low into the turf for ball 2, so it's a 2-all count with no outs for Cole Jenkins.
Lead runner out there, Alex Christie, no steals on the season, and just 2 from Bean over there on first base. So unlikely any sort of double steal takes place here.
Jenkins has a run. He's also been walked and struck out of this one as another one's put in low as Kamara nearly lost his hat there. So it's a full count now for Cole Jenkins with no outs and 2 on for Tri-City.
And just a reminder to everyone watching and listening in at home, just the first appearance of the year for newly brought in Story Kamara.
Kamara's dealing with a full count here on the dangerous leadoff man for the Chili Peppers in Cole Jenkins. The payoff pitch from Kamara is hit on. It's past J.D. Suarez at shortstop. Christie's rounding third. He's going to score. The throw over to home is not in time, and it is a 7-2 ball game. An RBI single from Cole Jenkins.
And just another unfortunate kind of ball there for the HiToms. Just a little bit unlucky. Just kind of dribbled just past the outstretched glove of the diving J.D. Suarez.
So William Bean is now over at second, and Cole Jenkins is at first with no outs here in the top of the 6th, and now a 7-2 game with Brandon Ike coming up to bat. Kamara's first delivery to Ike goes low as Karen was pondering a throw over to second, but runners remain at their bases.
And something to keep in mind with this bat for Brandon Ike and for the rest of the game, he's looked better with each at-bat. After the first 2 didn't go his way, sent a ball really far for a sac fly, so something to keep watch of.
1-0 from Kamara, bounces in the turf, gets away from Karen. Runners remain at their spots, but Kamara has thrown a lot of balls into that home plate turf here at Truist Point.
Seen a lot of balls by the entire pitching staff from the HiToms spiked in front of the plate tonight. However, not a lot of pass balls and wild pitches, certainly not as many as we're accustomed to, so a good job by Karen and by Estudillo.
And Kamara's second inning work is at 29 pitches. Another one hits the turf, so it's a 3-0 count for Brandon Ike. HiToms do have some action over in their bullpen, with William Bean over at second, Cole Jenkins at first, no outs, 3-0 count for Brandon Ike. Kamara nods, tosses in the 3-0. It goes low for a ball, and the Chili Peppers have the bases loaded with no outs, and Michael Dolberry up to bat.
And that's where Kamara's miss has been tonight. It's been low, and as we've seen, I wonder if it's something with the change of scenery, change of field, as all pitchers have struggled getting the ball up tonight and not spiking it.
As they're going to have a quick meeting here with Kamara to hopefully resettle him, as Tri-City has the bases loaded with no outs here in the top of the 6th inning.
And this inning has just spiraled extremely quickly. What seemed like a good 5th from Kamara has quickly kind of gotten away here.
Michael Dolberry on the year is batting .321, 27 RBIs, and 6 home runs. So not the spot Kamara wants to be in with the bases loaded and the dangerous Dolberry up to bat.
This is absolutely not who you want to face in this situation.
Kamara leans down, gets the signal from Josh Karen. From the belt, delivers to Dolberry, swing and a miss by him, and a much-needed strike for Kamara.
And Dolberry just has that presence in the box. As you look at him stand in there, is huge for a center fielder.
.01 from Kamara is another swing and a miss by Dolberry, and he's behind 0-2 on the count with no outs. Bases loaded for the Chili Peppers. It's William Bean over at third, Cole Jenkins at second, and Brandon Ike over at first. Kamara fires in the 0-2. That one goes low for ball 1.
Huge at-bat here. Got to finish off Dolberry after starting him 0-2 and get the first out of the inning.
One-two from Kamara is in the turf for ball 2, but it was a swing by Dolberry, and that strikes him out. So that one was going low from Dolberry, and he is retired on strike. So 1 out now for Eli Weiser.
I was going to say, I don't think Dolberry was doing his homework there in the dugout, because that's a pitch that the Chili Peppers have seen a lot of tonight, and he still swung at it way in the dirt. Good strikeout there from Kamara, and a chance now to hopefully and potentially turn 2.
It's Eli Weiser now. Kamara delivers to him. It gets away from Karen. There's going to be a play at the plate as sliding in is Bean, and he is called out. Great work there from Josh Karen, who to collect the ball as William Bean was running in. He slides feet first, and Karen was able to make the tag for the second out.
And head coach Sean Stevens has got to be patting himself on the back over there. Makes the defensive catcher substitution, and is rewarded by Karen making an excellent play to save a run there.
So it's a 1-out count now for Eli Lizer with 2 outs. Big break there for Kamara as he delivers the 1-0. Again, it's in the turf for ball 2.
I'm just absolutely shocked by how many balls we've seen spiked before home plate tonight.
Runners were able to advance on that put out at first. Cole Jenkins is now at third, and Brandon Ike is over at second. Eli Weiser sits in a 2-0 count with 2 outs. Kamara looks at third, looks back over at home, kicks, delivers, swing and a miss by Weiser.
There we go. Now he's starting to get it going a little bit, get into that groove, and he's looked much better over these last 2 at-bats.
A right-hander, Story Kamara, making his HiToms debut, delivers the 2-1, puts it low, count sits at 3-1 with 2 outs, men on third and second for the Chili Peppers.
It's been a big factor of this game. The HiToms continually missing low, not having that bottom of the strike zone to work with is huge for a pitching staff.
3-1 is on the outside corner. Bases are once again loaded for Tri-City.
And that'll bring up Avery Neves, the DH, for his third at-bat tonight. He's walked twice, one of them an RBI walk coming back in the first. His last at-bat grounded into a fielder's choice.
So Avery Neves will go to work with the bases loaded for his team. 2 outs for Story Kamara. He sets, kicks, delivers to Neves. That one's called for a strike down the middle.
And we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Neves hasn't done too much with the bat tonight. However, comes into this game as the hottest hitter, batting .375 over the past week for Tri-City.
He's got 2 RBIs in the year. Puts that one right at the feet of Story. The throw over to second is in time for the out. So the HiToms get away with the bases loaded for the Chili Peppers. It is now, though, a 7-2 game. The bats will be back up for the Tommies. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. And we welcome you back to Truist Point. The HiToms trail by 5 against the Tri-City Chili Peppers. It'll be Josh Karen to start things off in this bottom portion of the 6th. New pitcher on for Tri-City. And Carter Gorley out of the Colorado Springs of Mines. As he delivers to Karen, he pops that one out over to first. Weisner's looking onto it, and over to make the grab is the second baseman Jenkins for the first out. So back over to Gorling. He's from Woodlands, Texas. His redshirt year, sophomore season at Colorado Springs of Mines. It's J.D. Suarez to go to work with one out here in the bottom of the 6th for the HiToms.
That pitch is fired in there for a strike. Gorling on the year, 7 appearances, 7 innings, 5.4 ERA, has allowed 4 earned and 7 walks. So
he goes ahead on JD 2-0 in the or 0-2 rather in the count.
Also has 10 strikeouts on the year. So can be a little bit wild at times. Can get you the strikeout, but can also walk a batter just as often.
He's got one out here, delivers to JD. That one's on the outside, so it's a 1-2 count now for J.D. Suarez with one out here in the bottom of the 6th. HiToms trail 7-2 against the Chili Peppers as J.D. loops one out over to left field, takes us a hop in front of Miller, and J.D. Suarez has himself a base hit with one out.
Just about to mention how came into this game really hot. 2 pop-outs tonight, however, picks up his first knock there, and Suarez continues to love playing at Truist Point. Racks up the hits when he plays here.
Brings up Dom Pololi now with one out, and Suarez over at first.
He singled last time up, and overall the bottom of the order did an excellent job there last time up to bat, so potentially the lineup, part of the lineup tonight that could give the spark the HiToms need.
He goes ahead 0-1 on Dom Pololi. Gorling kicks, sets, delivers, puts that one on the outside. One count now for Dom Pololi. Gorling puts in the 1-1. It's high for ball 2. So it's a 2-1 count now with one out for Dom Pololi. Gorling delivers. That one goes high, so it's a walk for Dom Pololi, and now there's 2 on for the HiToms with one out, and Juan Correa stepping up to the plate.
Great start to the inning here. Just what the HiToms need to start cutting back into a newly obtained 5-run lead after the Tri-City Chili Peppers pushed one across in the top of the 6th.
So J.D. Suarez is over at second. Dom Pololi's at first with Juan Correa up to bat with one out. HiToms trail 7-2 is a swing and a miss by Juan Correa.
Correa hitless on the night with a strikeout and a flyout. However, the former JUCO MVP, always a threat to put a charge onto a ball.
Next one from Gorling goes high for ball 1, so one's across the scoreboard now for the HiToms in the bottom of the 6th. Here in High Point, North Carolina at Truist Point for the final game of the City Connect series. J.D. Suarez hopping around over at second. Delivery is fouled off from Correa. J.D. Suarez at second. Dom Pololi at first for the Tommies.
AJ, I wouldn't be shocked here if we saw some sort of double steal attempt come within the next couple of pitches. Both players, Dom and J.D., a lot of speed and multiple stolen bases.
Gorling looks over at second, looks back at his catcher, looks again at second. J.D. Suarez almost playing games with him. Delivers the 1-2, swing and a miss by Correa. He goes down on strike. The big throw over from Garrett, and a good jump there by Jenkins to collect that ball. J.D. Suarez remains over at second, but there's now 2 outs for Dylan Lewis stepping up to the plate as Juan Correa goes down on strikes.
Tommies have their 2 runs tonight on a sac fly and a throwdown for Kane Kepley as the runner crossed in the background. So looking to pick up their first run tonight from a hit.
It's the bottom of the order for the HiToms. Lewis And then in the on-deck circle, Jake Coonan were able to score the 2 runs for the HiToms thus far in this one back in the 5th inning, as Dylan Lewis looks at one down the middle, called for a strike. He's behind 0-1 with 2 outs. J.D. Suarez over at second, Don Pololi at first. Gorling kicks, delivers, as Lewis puts one up foul. Running over is Brandon Ike, but it will go into the grandstands out of play.
And Lewis did a good job last time to work deep and kind of battle at bat and then push through a single into the outfield for his first hit of the night. So looking to come through, do the same thing again here.
Dylan Lewis on the year batting .229, has 9 RBIs. He's behind here, 0-2. Gorling looks back at second, puts in the 0-2. It's hit on by Dylan Lewis, collected by the second baseman. He tosses over to second base for the 3rd out. So the HiToms again leave runners on. We will head to the 7th. It's the Tri-City Chili Peppers 7, the HPT HiToms 2. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network.
Welcome back to Truist Point in beautiful High Point, North Carolina. The sun has just begun to set as the sky fades into the night here on this July 6th. Nice Thursday, hot summer day. Had some rain earlier, has since been perfect weather for a ball game after that. We will start the top of the 7th off with a strike from new into the game is Mike Sokol. Sorry about that. Mike Sokol, first appearance, we mentioned earlier, with Story coming into the game, also making his first HiToms appearance, had some new arms come in the past couple days to this HiToms team and getting their first action tonight. Story looked pretty solid, had a couple of hiccups, but overall a pretty solid outing for his first appearance of the season for the HiToms. And looking to give the same will be Mike Sokol tonight. He'll fire that one in there just a little bit high. And so the count will move to 3-0 on Cole Garrett, the number 6 hitter, in for his 3rd appearance tonight. He'll sky that one out of play, and we'll move the count to 3-1. Cole earlier tonight came through with a big RBI double, 2 runs in the first, and has since flown out to center and to right. The full count pitch from Sokol is swung on, driven, foul, and we will see 3-2 again.
The farewell game here at Truist Point in the City Connect Series, and unfortunately we couldn't put this one on the air. The Rockers equipment today was not operating, so we had to go radio on YouTube.
As there's a single blasted right back up the middle, so just as what happened with Story, the first batter for the new pitcher starts with a leadoff base runner to begin the inning.
And really for the Chili Peppers, every time they've reached base, most of the time have been able to cross home. They've been excellent with runners in scoring position. And on the flip side for the HiToms, they've had plenty of runners in scoring position tonight, but haven't gotten many home.
Exactly. Sometimes you honestly don't need to do that much analysis into a team, as you can tell just from looking at the Chili Peppers, they're a really solid ball club on both sides of the ball. They've done a really excellent job and have just looked pretty professional up there at the dish. Why they're leading in this one. However, Tommy's never out of it, as we've seen already a number of times this season. So Cameron Miller in for his fourth appearance tonight. Early 2-0 count on him. Swings at the fastball, fouls it out of play to bring it to 2-1. He walked in his first appearance, struck out, and then flew out last time. So a little bit of everything. No hits, though, for Cameron. So just 3 innings left and 9 outs for the Tommies bats to try and cut into or erase this 5-run deficit they've gotten themselves into. Did a good job back in the second to get 2 back, and we'll have to likely at least get 1 here in the 7th to give themselves a chance. Good job from Sokol to work his way back in this one to bring the count to full. Lead runner on is Cole Garrett. We mentioned earlier tonight, not too big of a threat to steal. Won't have to do too much worrying about him on the mound as he focuses towards the 3-2 pitch on Cameron Miller. It was missed outside, and he'll take first base with a walk. So close to getting an out, but to no avail, as the start for Sokol has been single walk. And into bat will be Alex Christie, his 4th time tonight. He walked last time, has also grounded into a fielder's choice and struck out. There's a big swinging strike there. Mentioned it earlier tonight, but Christie, one of the highest strikeout rates in the league, seems to be a guy that will be important here for Sokol to get out. And certainly a gettable hitter at that. So 2 on, no outs to begin the outing for Sokol. 2 strikes, and that pitch is missed outside and does escape past Karen and will reach the backstop. So now 2 outs and runners on third and second. And the Chili Peppers are threatening again here. They've done so in just about every inning. Even in the innings they haven't scored, have had a base runner or 2 on in pretty much all innings tonight. The pitch from Sokol is swung on and fouled off, so the count will remain 1-2 on Alex Christie. Alex, the right fielder from Hanover College. We'll watch that one move on inside and too far so, and we'll bring the count to 2-2.
And on the night, the HiToms have walked 7 Chili Pepper batters. Just another, note to their struggles they've had tonight with these Chili Pepper batters.
That pitch is in there for a strikeout, actually had it right the first time. That is a strikeout. So good job there to get the 8-hole in Alex Christie. And another batter that Sokol should be able to handle here, the number 10 in William Bean. Hitless on the night with a strikeout and a flyout. Got hit by a pitch his last time up to bat.
And on a good note, the HiToms have struck out 6 Chili Pepper batters, so there has been a little bit of mix of both as William Bean just got clipped and looked like the helmet almost, as that one was airmailed by Mike Sokol.
We mentioned he was hit his last at-bat and is hit again here, so not letting Bean get a chance to hit instead of doing the beaning on Bean had to come and play with his last name. So after the hit by pitch, their lineup will wrap around back to the top, and we'll see Cole Jenkins for the 5th time tonight. Came through with an RBI single last time, has also walked and been hit himself so far in this game.
It's now the 3rd inning that the Chili Peppers have loaded the bases too.
Yeah, they have kind of had the HiToms number so far this game, and with just 6 hits, HiToms out-hitting Tri-City. However, the free passes making their way into the stat sheet, and there's another free run given up on the wild pitch. So up until this inning, the HiToms had done an excellent job not letting balls get past the catcher. However, it's already happened a couple times this inning from the new pitcher. But just as with Story, Mike Sokol is making his first appearance, just trying to get some experience out there in CPL play for the first time this season. So the score is 8-2 now. HiToms trailing by 6 as a big swing and miss there from Cole Jenkins. 1 out in the inning, 2 strikes on Cole, and still 2 runners out there. Just a little bit outside. The pitch is missed from Mike Sokol. So really important here to strand those 2 runners on 2nd and 3rd if the Tommies want any chance of coming back in this one. That ball is right through the gap and hit exactly where the Tommies didn't need it to go. The throw is just a little bit too late, and it'll be an RBI single, 2 RBI single for Cole Jenkins.
Well, this is turning into another bad inning for the HiToms. Now a 10-2 ball game. And really, it's just the poor pitches that have gotten away from either Dario Asadillo or Josh Caron. It's been a problem, and it's allowed the Chili Peppers to just run around the base pads.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see. I thought that the HiToms had made some real good progress after watching last game on July 4th. However, seem to have kind of give up almost all the progress they've made and letting the same mistakes we've seen get to them all season long continue to haunt them here tonight. So stealing in the background is Cole Jenkins. He'll have to return back as the pitch was fouled off by Brandon Ike. Brandon Ike, when you see the Chili Peppers up 10-2, you expect the majority of the runs to be coming from the top of the lineup, especially Ike and Dolberry. However, just 1 RBI and 1 hit between the pair tonight. Have not been needed, though, as the rest of the lineup has picked up the slack from the 2 punch and has given all of the offense that the Chili Peppers could ever need. So 1-2 now on Ike. Stealing in the background again is Cole Jenkins, and just like last time, he'll have to jog right back on to first base as the pitch was fouled off. So count remains 1-2 on Jenkins, second baseman out of VMI. Third baseman out of VCU. So many as we see of these Tri-City players at various Virginia schools, as there's another pitch that gets away from Caron and rolls into the dugout. So standing on second now will be Cole Jenkins. He didn't get that stolen base he was trying to get, however, on there just the same, as the problem that looked to be in the clear tonight has shown its ugly head again here in the top of the 7th. Swung on and fouled back again is Ike. So he's been battling here in this at-bat, trying to continue to pour on the runs against this HiToms pitching staff. Joe Arriola started this game for the Tommies, and we came into this game with the mindset that he could give a solid outing as that pitch is fouled away. But Joe, we came into this game with the mindset that Arriola would be able to provide a number of innings for the HiToms, coming off of a start where Jay Dill gave them 8 innings and a win in a very strong performance against the Sharks on Tuesday. But Arriola was able to just get through 2, and there's the stolen base that Jenkins was trying to get. He'll slide into third as the pitch misses low on Ike, so a walk issued to Brandon.
Yeah, the HiToms have had to eat into their bullpen tonight. Mike Sokol's the 4th pitcher used, and that's not really good news for the Tommies because they have a game tomorrow against the Mustangs, and then they travel to Macon to play the Bacon. Say that a few times.
Yeah.
On Saturday. So it's 3 games in a row and a big travel from Thomasville all the way to Macon. So not ideal that you're using up the bullpen in that first game of 3 in a row.
Yeah, it's certainly a tough stretch, and potentially part of the reason why we're seeing those new guys get thrown in so early is just to save the arms in a game that potentially head coach Sean Stevens sees as out of reach. But it's really just been the pitching, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Tri-City has looked really solid tonight, has looked honestly really professional in their plate appearances, as there's a ball slammed down into right field by Dolberry. Fortunately will fall out of play, but the HiToms, honestly, as we've seen so far this season, just continue to beat themselves up on the defensive and pitching side of the game, continuing to just hand out free passes and not have to make the hitters work very hard. You just can't be issuing multiple walks to the 7, 8, and 9 hole hitters if you want to continue to win ball games. So something the HiToms will continue to work on as the second half of the season rolls on. So 0-1 count, or 0-2 count now on Dolberry. Still 2 on at the corners. The pitch from Sokol is fouled, and we will see 0-2 again on Dolberry. Hasn't done too much tonight. Singled back in the first, has since flown out, grounded out, and struck out. But always a threat to do so. One of the better hitters in the CPL this year, as there's a stolen base from Ike. But he'll have to come back as a flyout from Dolberry will score the runner from third to push the score to 11-2, but bring the second out of the inning. So, in a game that is just honestly kind of ballooned on the HiToms, you never want to start off down 5-0 before you even pick the bats up, and ever since starting down 5-0, have just struggled to get anything going here. Big swing and a miss, or swing and a foul right there from Eli Wisner, who has been one of the best hitters tonight and the offensive spark plug for the Chili Peppers, providing 3 hits, including 2 singles and a double. He walked last at bat and now faces a 1-1 count after the missed pitch outside from Sokol. Sokol is a very tall pitcher, listed at 6'5". That ball's grounded into the left field for another hit off of Sokol, and the hits just keep coming for the Chili Peppers. Reminds me a lot of the game we saw the HiToms play not too long ago, less than a week ago, against the Bigfoots on Sunday, in that 12-2 win, where the HiToms just kept racking up the hits. It was a hit party, and have had that scored against them tonight. So, in now will be number 30, Avery Neves. And he'll slice that back into play. However, Kepley won't have to move very much out there in center and will make the play for the third out. Tri-City scores 4 more in the 7th. They lead it 11-2 when we come back to the bottom of the 7th at Truist Point. Welcome back here as we're set to begin the bottom of the 7th in a game the Tommies have just been unable to get too much going. They are trailing this one 11-2 as we head towards the Tommies' final 3 frames and final 9 outs. In the bat will be Jake Coonan, then we'll wrap around to Kane Kepley and Wilver Dung. So kind of the last chance here to start a rally going. If it's going to come, you're going to have to score at least a couple here in the bottom of the 7th. Some good hitters up, however, to do so. So Coonan will watch that one spiked into the plate and an early 2-0 hitters count on him.
And the HiToms' best inning in the 5th, it was, the bottom of the order and Dylan Lewis and Jake Coonan that were able to reach base. And that top of the order, like we've seen all year, went to work. And were able to get Coonan and Lewis home.
As there's a long, high foul ball popped up into the air, play made by Cole Garrett for the first out of the inning.
A great play there made by Cole Garrett. He was kind of just walking backwards, and I think he almost nearly lost his balance, but he was still able to haul it in for the first out.
Yeah, that ball just kept flying up in the air, and as the sun is now set here and the lights are out, could have potentially lost in the lights, made the play, and 1 out in the inning. So Kane Kepley up tonight, just 1 official plate appearance so far, reached on an error, and has since walked twice since then. So if the HiToms want any chance, as I just said, they'll have to score a couple here, and important to get Kane on ahead of Wilver Dung. And a new pitcher on the mound now to begin the bottom of the 7th is Wes Arrington. Also attends Lynchburg University. As they've gotten exactly what's been asked of just about every pitcher for Tri-City tonight. Their pitching staff has been really good as of late. Already one of the better pitching staffs on the season with a solid 4.7 pitching staff wide ERA. Have since lowered it over a hot past week all the way down to almost 4. Kepley chops a ball over, and with his speed turns the routine into a difficult play. However, the play is made nonetheless by the third baseman Brandon Ike. So 2 outs now in the inning, and Kepley will return back to the dugout as Wilver Dung will step into the batter's box for his 4th plate appearance tonight. He kept his on-base streak alive and got it up to 24 with a single back in the 3rd inning, and puts that ball out into play fairly deep, but no problem for the center fielder Michael Dolberry, and the HiToms will pick up just about nothing in another quick inning here. We'll be back to Truist Point, and when we return, it'll be the top of the 8th. We're back here at Truist Point, getting ready to begin the top of the 8th. Still on the mound for the Tommies is Mike Sokol. Tommies trail this one 11-2. Something to keep in mind for this 8th inning, there is a 10-run rule in place in the Coastal Plain League. If the Chili Peppers were able to get a run across in the 8th, the Tommies would be down to their final 3 outs in the 8th instead of the 9th. However, they're looking to hopefully just not have that happen, as we'll look to see if Sokol can work on a solid end to the 7th and try to build on that with a strong 8th here. So a 1-1 count on the 6-hole hitter, Cole Garrett, the catcher. We've seen him up to bat 4 times, is 2 of 4 with a 2 RBI double and a single. So good night out of him. And as we begin the 8th here in a game where the Tommies are most likely out of this, a good chance to get a look at Mike Sokol, as there was a nice strikeout there from him on a high fastball that had to be chased by Cole Garrett out of the zone. So good pitch there. And will be nice to get a look at him over these next couple innings and kind of just a nice mop-up role, but a good chance to get some experience and some reps in his first appearance of the year. So in now will step Cameron Miller from Ashland, and he's technically 0 of 2 tonight with 2 walks. He'll send that one to J.D. Suarez. Play is made, no problem. Fired back down to Jack Spike over at first. They haven't been that busy tonight, as Tri-City has racked up the base runners and the hits, but a good play there from Suarez. And actually now, as I notice it, Suarez was replaced defensively. It looks like Andrew Fernandez, number 5, has come on to replace J.D. Suarez. So Mike Sokol fires in the next pitch for a strike, and that'll start off Alex Christie with a 0-1 count. Alex is hitless tonight, 0 of 4 with 2 strikeouts, and is quickly down here in the count in this one. No one on base. 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. And that pitch misses low and in the dirt. And Sokol puts a second back-to-back pitch in the dirt as well. So the count will move to 3-1 on the number 8-hole hitter, Alex Christie. Mike stares him down, gets into his rotation, throws the pitch, swung on and driven way deep into left field. And being honest, Don Pololi didn't really even have to move at all there, as you just knew right off of the bat that ball was going out. A long, long home run out of Alex Christie, as Tri-City continues to find runs in all parts of their lineup, as the 8-hole hitter takes a fastball and crushes it deep out into left field. So the 4th home run we've seen in the Connect series, however, yet to get one from a HiToms hitter in the final game of the City Connect series. So with that run, the 10-run rule does come into play now. The Tommies will be down to their final 3 at-bats unless they can get a run across, as there's another hit. And a bad game for the Tommies continues to get worse.
And for Alex Christie, that was his first home run in CPL play this year, and it was a bomb into the High Point night sky.
Yeah, that thing was absolutely rocketed off of the bat of Alex Christie. But there's just not much you can do as a squad when the Chili Peppers have it all rolling tonight. Up and down the lineup. with that hit from Alex Christie. Just one hitter on the Chili Peppers without a hit so far tonight. And it's certainly just about the guy you would expect last. That's Brandon Ike. Best hitter on the team hit list tonight. He's been able to take the night off, however, as the rest of the Chili Peppers have picked him up handily. So 1 on, still 2 outs here in the top of the 8th, as Mike Sokol will look to try and wrap this up to get the bats up one more time. Big swing and a miss there on the fastball. As AJ mentioned, HiToms after this game go on a bit of a road stretch. Haven't seen this big of a road stretch so far this season. And then we'll return home after a few days back at Finch Field. That pitch misses outside and will bring the count to full. So after getting 2 outs fairly quickly in the inning, Sokol has since given up a solo shot and a single and has allowed Cole Jenkins in his 6th plate appearance tonight to draw a walk now as he lost him. So there's nothing too much, there's not much verbiage left in the dictionary to describe the performance tonight. We've said just about as much as you can say. It just hasn't been up to standard. So in now will step the one hitless hitter in the lineup for the Chili Peppers. 2 outs in the inning, 2 on against Brandon Ike. And Josh Caron's going to go and check on his pitcher and give him a little talking to ahead of this next at-bat.
It's a dangerous batter in Brandon Ike at VCU. He ended the season on a 10-game hitting streak, and he's picked it up right here in CPL play for the Chili Peppers.
That's the scariest thing about this team, is that they haven't even needed him tonight and have still continued to put up the runs. Certainly a team that the HiToms are going to want to stay away from if they do end up reaching the playoffs later this season. Good first pitch strike fired in there from Mike. So Mike to Ike, the 0-1, bounced in the dirt, as we've seen many, many times tonight. I just can't believe how many balls we have seen spiked below the plate. I believe there's been at least 15 from just an eye count and what I can remember. But it's just been a ridiculous amount of balls that, as a hitter, if a ball is spiked in front of the plate, that's a pitch that you just get to take off. That's a pitch in the at-bat that you just get to stand there and watch it come on in. So,
and especially here at Truist Point with the AstroTurf, that ball can take one bounce. And this was a wet turf, too, off of that rain we had before the start of this game. And it's played an effect on the HiToms catchers.
Exactly. Having to go from dirt to turf and switch back and forth so often could definitely be an issue. But as this is the last matchup of the City Connect series this season, last of 5 games, should be playing all their home games on the turf at Finch Field for the remainder of the season, as another walk is issued from Sokol now, as
it's now the 4th inning. The HiToms the Chili Peppers will have the bases loaded.
And that's the 3rd straight walk for Ike. And that'll bring up Michael Dolberry. So the amazing offensive stats put up by the Tri-City Chili Peppers over the course of this season are going to continue to look a little better tonight after they flooded the box score with just about every positive statistic that you can in a baseball game. First pitch strike is in there from Sokol on the ever-dangerous Michael Dolberry from Longwood. Been busy out there in center field. A lot of HiToms hitters flying out there tonight. That pitch is missed a little outside. Dolberry came through with a sac fly, his last plate appearance, singled earlier tonight for his only hit. Has also flown out, struck out, and grounded out. The pitch from Mike into Dolberry also misses outside, so the 0-1 turns to 2-1 with the bases loaded. And you're right, AJ. I mean, here we are again with the bases loaded, as we've seen it way too many times to count tonight. The 1-2 sent on in there, misses a little high, and so another 3-1 count, and now just one pitch away from walking in the 13th run of the night for the Chili Peppers. That ball is fouled out of play from Dolberry, as he was trying to pick up more than just one RBI on that swing. So, full count, 2 outs, bases still juiced for the Chili Peppers. An inning that started really quickly, 2 quick outs for Mike Sokol, and has not been able to get one since. Solo shot, single walk, as how we've gotten to Dolberry, and another walk issued. The 3rd straight walk issued from Sokol, and the Chili Peppers continue to have their way with the HiToms tonight.
And the HiToms are going to let Sokol just ride this one out. No one warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, you see when we get to this point in an MLB game, sometimes you'll see a position player come on in. Haven't seen any position players used in a mop-up role for the HiToms so far this season. However, without the run rule, there was certainly a chance we could see one come on in the 9th just to finish it out. First pitch is missed high for a ball. Pitch is fouled back. And the thing is, with the hitting of the Chili Peppers, as the HiToms have continued to not work their way back into the strike zone as a pitching staff, it's just kind of spread like wildfire throughout the lineup. Every hitter has turned into an amazing hitter tonight because of the missed pitches.
And taking a look around the CPL scoreboard, the Mustangs, who are also in action tonight, are currently in a 2-2 game with the Peninsula Pilots. That's who the HiToms will play tomorrow. And the Morehead City Marlins, who dominated the East Division, the division the Tri-City Chili Peppers are in, they're up 12-4 over the Holy Spring Salamanders.
Hopefully, we'll see the HiToms get back in the win column tomorrow. That is assuming that they don't come back and score at least 11 runs in the 8th and 9th. And that ball is crushed into right field, drifting foul and out of play. So, Sokol will again attempt to close out this inning, as he's walked 3 straight, but has had 2 strikes issued to all 3 batters he's walked. So, just an issue of losing the batters once being in control.
And in a key West Division battle, the Bigfoots and Owls facing off. The Owls lead the Bigfoots 10-9.
And I don't even know what to say there. On a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs in the inning, that ball was sent over the catcher, and a run will easily score on what's charged as a walk, but without 3 balls would have been charged as a wild pitch. So the Chili Peppers tack on their 14th run of the game. Bases are still loaded. That ball is sent out into center field. And miraculously and thankfully, this inning will end. The Tommies are down to their final 3 outs as they trail this one 14-2 when we return back to Truist Point in the bottom of the 8th. Welcome back. We are ready now to start the bottom of the 8th, and an inning that is now turned into the final inning for the HiToms unless they're able to scrape 2 runs across the plate, as the CPL has a 10-run rule applied for all games past the 5th inning. So as the box score stands right now, the Chili Peppers lead this one 14-2. And the HiToms are down to their final 3 outs. Up in the inning will be Jack Spike, Josh Karen, and Andrew Fernandez, unless there are any substitutions made. So 0-2 quickly on Jack Spike, as you don't usually talk about possession time, as there's a ball flown into right field. Play is made very easily by Alex Christie, and the first out of the inning is retired. And with that, it will bring up a pinch hitter for the HiToms, and not just any pinch hitter, the man, the myth, the legend, Noah Hill, number 8. So we'll see what Noah can do in his first plate appearance tonight. Noah Hill has just 3 plate appearances on the season, has yet to register a hit, and in a game that's out of reach most likely, you got to root for Noah here to put something in play and get his first hit of the season. Pitch is fired in and fouled off, so staying alive is Noah Hill. And there is a new pitcher on the mound for this inning. Kind of wrap things up here. Everett Vaughn steps on to the mound for the Chili Peppers to get the final 3 outs. So 2-2 count on Noah Hill, looking for his first hit of the year. He'll swing and miss. It was a good try, Noah. So 2 outs now in the inning. Will bring up the final hitter of the night for the HiToms, Andrew Fernandez. And Andrew's just going to look to try and get on base here. So looking towards the rest of the season and towards next games, it'll be important for the HiToms to get a win, as games are starting to run out here. After tonight's game, they'll drop to 9-16 on the season, as that ball is fouled back. So 9-16 with 21 games left to play. As it stands right now, 7.5 games out of first place. It's going to take some sort of win streak and a really strong second half record to try to contend for a championship title here in 2023, but certainly possible. They're just going to have to play more games like they did on July 4th and like they did on June 30th against the Bigfoots. As there's a swing and a miss from Fernandez to mercifully end this one. Final here tonight, 14-2. In a game where the Tommies could not get anything going on either side of the ball. They'll lose this one by run rule in 8 innings, 14-2. Joe Areola gave up 5 in the first, and the Chili Peppers never looked back after that and scored runs in bunches and left even some more runs on base. So Tommies will turn their attention past this one and on to the next game. What are your final thoughts, AJ?
Well, really for the HiToms, the pitching just wasn't where it needed to be against a really good Chili Peppers team that could hit the baseball. And also for the offensive side, which has really looked promising for the HiToms of late, they were able to get on base, but then couldn't tack any runs home other than the 2 they did. But really quick turnaround. You got to go to Martinsville tomorrow and then to Macon on Saturday. So got to, rip the page off of this one, throw it in the trash, really, for the HiToms, because they got to get back to work in the West Division, too, against the Mustangs tomorrow. That will be a big game, as now they sit 2-2 in the second half of the season. So, big one against the Mustangs tomorrow, and this one, unfortunately, didn't go the way they wanted to, but an unfortunate way as well to cap off the City Connect series. But it's been great visiting another ballpark here in High Point, and unfortunately, the HiToms couldn't get it done tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, it's honestly probably just a good thing that they do play so soon. Quick turnaround playing tomorrow will make it easier to forget this one, as honestly nothing you can do other than just chalk it up as a dud of a game, move on to the next one. It'll be important to not get too caught up, as it is just one game and just one loss with plenty left to play. So we'll see if the HiToms can get back into the win column tomorrow. They'll be on the road. We hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, and thank you everyone for listening in. We hope that it went well, and we hope that the Tommies will get back into the win column next time when they return to play. Thank you for listening in to Flow Sports Radio, and have an excellent rest of your night. For Jackson Green and AJ Myers, signing off.